Bole Baba Ki Jai, Jai Mahamaya Ki Jai. In our last discourse, we learned about the 8 Vasus and how they had been cursed to earth, and how 7 of them relieved that curse quickly, but the last 8 of them had to stay on to earth for a long time because he was actually the Vasu that stole Nandini, the sacred cow. And he became known as Bhishma and was the son of this nice king, King Santanu. So we'll begin chapter 5 of book 2, the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam. The Munis asked, O Sutta, you have described to us how the 8 Vasus cursed by Vashishta took their birth and how Bhishma had to remain on earth a long time. O knower of Dharma, now describe to us in detail how the greatly religious King Santanu married the auspicious, chaste Satyvati, who was the mother of Vedavyasa. Knowing full well that she was a fisherman's daughter, remove our doubts. The sage King Santanu always used to go to forest on hunting expeditions, with his heart quite fond of hunting. Thus, for 4 years, the king went out hunting with his son Bhishma, and he got the highest happiness from this, just like Mahadeva finds in the company with his son Kartikeya. Once on occasion, he went so far as to reach a forest on the banks of the Yamuna River, the chief of all the rivers. There he began to smell an excellent nice smell that could not be described in words. He tried to find out the source and wandered here and there, and on all sides of the forest, and thought that this enchanting smell was not that of the mandari flowers, or musk, or kampaka, or malati flowers, or kataki flower. The air was blowing saturated with peculiar fragrant smell that he had never experienced before in his life. Thus thinking of that smell, the king Santanu, being enchanted with that, followed it to its source in that forest. At last he came to a spot on the banks of the Yamuna, the chief of the rivers, where a very beautiful young lady, calm and quiet, and with feminine gestures and postures amorous, lovely, but ill-clad, was sitting, and he found out that the above beautiful smell was coming from her body. The form of the lady was extremely beautiful. The smell was very wonderful and captivating the hearts of all. Her age, then, was just beyond youth, and she was very auspicious. The king was greatly surprised and was eager to know how the lady was when she had come, whether she was a Deva girl or a human, or a Gandharva, or a Naga daughter. But being unable to come to a definite conclusion and becoming passionate, he remembered Ganga and asked that lady sitting on the bank of the Yamuna thus, "Oh dear, who are you? Whose daughter are you? Why are you alone in this lonely forest? O beautiful-eyed, are you married, or are you as yet unmarried?" So please answer all these questions. O lovely-eyed one, seeing your lovely enchanting form, I am becoming extremely passionate. So, O dear, describe in detail to me who you are and what do you intend to do. When the king spoke thus, the lotus-eyed, nice-teethed lady replied as follows. O king, know me as a fisherman's daughter, and I am completely under my father's command. O king of kings, for Dharma's sake, I carry and ferry across this river Jamuna. People, my father has gone today to our house, O master of wealth. Thus I have spoken truth to you. Thus saying, the lady desired the passionate king then spoke to her. I am the foremost hero of the Kuru family. To choose me as your husband, then your youth will not go in vain. O fine-eyed one, I have no other wife existing, So you will be my legal wife, O dear. Passion is giving much pains to me, therefore I have now become your obedient servant forever. O beloved, my former dear wife has abandoned me and gone away, but I have not married since then. Now seeing you beautiful in all respects, I cannot bring my mind under control. Hearing these nectar-like beautiful words of the king, the sweet-scented fisherman's daughter, though also turned extremely passionate, held patience and exclaimed, O king, I also desire that which you have expressed. I am of opinion to act according to your wishes, but what am I to do? I am dependent. You are to know this. My father alone can give me in marriage to you, so better ask my father for me. Though I am a fisherman's daughter, I still am not a wanton or willful woman. I am always obedient to my father. If my father wills, you can marry me, and I will be obedient to you. O king, the goddess of love is tormenting me, who is endowed with youth. He does not torment you so much. Still, I must regard my family manners and customs coming down from the ancient times. I must hold my patience. Suta said, thus passionately pleased with these fascinating words of the lady, the king went to the fisherman's house for the lady. Seeing the king coming, the fisherman was greatly bewildered and astonished and bowed down with great devotion. The fisherman said, O king, I am thy servant. I am blessed by thy presence, O king. Now be graciously pleased to order me the cause of thy arrival. Hearing the fisherman's words, the king said, O sinless one, this I tell you truly, that if you give me your daughter in marriage, I will certainly make her my legal wife. The fisherman replied, O king, what must be given ever? How can I say that it is not to be given? Therefore, if thou ask for my daughter, I will certainly give her to thee. But, O great king, thou wilt have to make her son the king of thy kingdom. No other son of thine could be king after thy absence. Hearing these words of the fisherman, the King Santanu became very anxious. He remembered Bhishma and could not speak anything. He, being sick with love, anxiously returned home, but he abandoned bathing, fooding, sleeping, etc. At this, his son Bhishma, whose vow was equal to that of the gods, marking that the king was being troubled with some thoughts, went to him and asked why he was so anxious. O king, say truly, what is your anxiety? Who is your enemy that is not conquered? Whom do you want to bring under your control? O king, what use is there of having a son who does not understand the difficulties of his father, or does not try to remove these difficulties? A son can be called truly a son who is born to repay the debts incurred by him in previous births. There is no manner of discussion in this. See, Raghu's son, Rama, abandoned his kingdom under the orders of his father and repaired Chitrakuta forest with his brother Lakshmana and his wife Sita. The son of Harishchandra, Rohita, ready to repay the debt of his father and sold by his father, worked as a servant at a Brahmana's house. So the famous Sudashipa, sold by the high-souled father Ajigartha, was tied for sacrifice in a sacrificial post, but he was afterwards freed by the Gadi's son, Vishvamitra. O king, this my body is at your disposal. I can certainly do what you order me to do, so say, what am I to do? As long as I am living, you need not express any sorrow. If you permit, I will do what is even hardly practical to do. O king, say why you are anxious. I will remove that at once with this bow in my hand. If my body goes in carrying your mandate, know that your desire will be fructified. Fie to that son who, being capable, is adverse to do what his father desires. What use is there in having a son who does not remove the cause of his father's anxiety? Hearing the words of his son, the king Santanu felt much ashamed in his heart and said, O son, this is now my gravest care, that you are my only son. Besides, you are a hero, very powerful, honored, and never showing your lack in battles. Therefore, if out of ill luck you become dead in some battlefield, I will become sonless. Under such circumstances, what am I to do? So, O son, my life is fruitless when I have got only one son. There is my greatest care, therefore I am sorry. O son, I have no other cares that I can mention to you. Hearing these words of the father, Bhishma called the old ministers and said that the king was too ashamed to speak out to me the real matter. So I ask you all to know exactly the king's cares and communicate them to me as they are. I can carry them out without a hitch then. At these Bhishma's words, the ministers went to the king and learned the true cause and spoke to Bhishma. Learning this, he began to think what ought to be done. Then Ganga's son Bhishma, accompanied by the ministers, quickly went to the house of the fisherman, and with words of humility and affection spoke, O tormentor of foes, I pray to you to give your beautiful daughter in marriage to my father. Your daughter will be my mother, and I will be her servant. The fisherman then said, O highly lucky prince, then the king's son will not be able to become king in your presence. So kindly marry yourself, my daughter. At this, Bhishma again said, Let your daughter be my mother. I will never accept the kingdom. The son of your daughter will, no doubt, become the king. The fisherman said, I know your words are true, but if your son be powerful, he can take forcibly the kingdom for himself. At this, Bhishma again said, O sire, know my words as true. I will never marry. From today, I have accepted this difficult vow. Sutta said, hearing this firm resolve of Bhishma, the fisherman gave over his beautiful daughter to the king Santanu. Thus Santanu married the dear Satyavati, but he was quite unaware of the wonderful birth of Veda Vyasa. Thus ends the 5th chapter of the 2nd book of the marriage of Satyavati in the Mahapurana Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses. Bole Baba Ki Jai, Jagdambe Mata Ki Jai.